right. Welcome to 8,000 Miles Away. This is your host, Vic, for another exciting video. So, guys, I am a little late today because life be lifing. Things be coming up, and I haven't been under the weather. Been feeling kind of funny today. Sundays is truly my day off from the main gig, where the brother makes this. Keep the lights on. You dang on show Skip. You think YouTube keeps the lights on. YouTube does not. YouTube is more of a passion. YouTube is something we just do. But it's fun to do. Is check in with my subscribers and people out there and see if, and find out what's going on in the world. But at any rate, as I always say, if our videos made you laugh, made you smile, or if you learned anything, like, share, subscribe to 8,000 Miles Away. And guys, I want to say Happy New Year, because it is still New Year. It's going fast though, boy. I'm gonna tell you, we're already 5 days in, guys. 5 days into the new year. And I hope everyone is having a happy new year. And I hope everyone's first 5 days are going well. And I'm hoping that everyone's New Year's resolutions and declarations are going as follows. If you're one of those kind of people who's looking to lose weight, get them pounds off like a brother need to do. Or maybe you need to budget your money, or maybe you buy a new car, which is probably a bad idea in most cases. But at any rate, I hope everyone's New Year's is going the way it should be going, and all the declarations and resolutions and things you have planned are coming to fruition. Now, I'm sure you saw the thumbnail and the title. I'm sure you saw the thumbnail and the title. And I'm repeating myself like Dr. Umar. But I'm gonna briefly, this is a brief video, a brief live stream today, because it's not really something to really get into it too much, but I thought I'd touch on it, because it's important to anyone that is considering. But anyway, like I said, I'm sure you saw the thumbnail, so I'm gonna briefly discuss a topic of concern that I've had for some time. And I would like some seasoned, I do say seasoned expats living in the Philippines, or anyone considering relocating to the Philippines or anywhere around Southeast Asia's opinion. I would like that, because this is something of concern. I think that the people kind of sweeping under the rug a little bit. It's definitely a concern of mine, and I know that I'm not alone in these thoughts. Okay? I know I'm not alone in these thoughts. Now, American people are always skeptical, always doubtful, always on guard, or can I say head on a swivel when it comes to domestic danger, and certainly international threats from enemy countries overseas. For example, all the fuss about the drones, and suspecting alien invasions, or even doubting our own government. And definitely anything to do with China. You read the news and you know what's going on. We are so concerned about what the hell is going on with China. Russia too, but China too. China probably more so than Russia. Therefore, this worry type of kind of thinking travels with us when we expats or people that are considering moving overseas or living overseas, in this case, the Philippines or any other Southeast Asian country these days. So with this kind of thinking, this kind of concern, I'm going to play a quick news clip about China's immediate transgressions in Southeast Asia. Roll the clip.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has delivered a stark warning to the world about Taiwan's reunification, signaling an unwavering commitment to bringing the island under mainland control. The message, broadcast across China's state media, leaves no room for diplomatic ambiguity. Xi's New Year address emphasized that no one can ever stop Taiwan's reunification with China, underscoring Beijing's resolute stance. According to diplomatic sources, this statement represents more than just political rhetoric. It's a clear declaration of China's long-term strategic intentions. The implications are profound. China's military presence around Taiwan has been intensifying, with Taiwanese officials viewing these actions as a calculated strategy to normalize military positioning in the region. Xi's words directly challenge international expectations and diplomatic norms.
Now, hearing this, as far as me being selfish now, but I'm sure you guys have a similar concern that y'all have the same. Now, if you don't, then maybe something, I don't know. But after hearing that, I had two things come to matter. One, I can blow this off as propaganda and say this will never happen, which which I believe this is what seems to be the opinion of most ordinary Filipinos living there, but that's for another day, for another story. Or number two, I can just say, forget it, that's it. I won't even consider even ever moving to the Philippines. But forget that. Because I have, number one, because Virginia and her family lives there. And secondly, there are threats all over the world these days. So is there anywhere really that's really safe anymore? Anywhere, whether it be America or Southeast Asia or wherever, is there anywhere really safe? Now, my question is, why, because I analyze everything. You just can't tell me anything. Why is China so interested, and how does this affect the Philippines? How does it affect the Philippines, and why is China so interested in this Taiwan? Why is it so important to them to make them part of mainland China? And why, and what role does the Philippines play in this? You got to think about this if you're considering moving there. If you don't, you're a dummy. Why wouldn't you? So I have a video here to hopefully explain some of that. Roll the clip. Roll the clip. No, it's actually a screen share. So I do that. I screen share. It's a screen share. So hold tight. Will be this one here. All right, so let's play this clip here.
Rights to an exclusive economic zone. Why are there continuous conflicts between the Philippines and China? In the Western Pacific Ocean, there is a 3.5 million square kilometer area that China calls the South China Sea and the Philippines calls the West Philippine Sea. China claims this area based on their so-called 9-dash line, asserting it belongs to China. The Philippines, however, asserts its rights to an exclusive economic zone and continental shelf based on the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, and the two sides have been at odds for decades. This area is rich in oil and natural gas reserves and is also one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. Controlling its sovereignty would provide a country with significant economic, military, and strategic advantages. The sovereignty dispute involves multiple countries and regions, including China, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan.
Okay.
Many Americans might not realize why Japan is establishing no-fly zones in the South China.
So that kind of explains a little bit about why they are some interest over there and why they're looking to be interested in the area. But there's more, and I'm going to add more contents to that because it's just not just that. There's business reasons as well. Here's a guy that explains the business interests. Roll the clip.
Our business interests with China are significantly bigger than our business interests with Taiwan.
Wow.
Taiwan has the market cornered on semiconductors, but that's not just for the United States. They have like 98% of the market share in semiconductor manufacturing. Who designs the semiconductors? We do. We have all the IP. They just have the plants. That's why one of the big initiatives in Biden's CHIP Act is to actually bring TMSC, I forget the name of the country, or I forget the name of the company, the main manufacturer in Taiwan, to actually bring them to the United States. So they're trying to build manufacturing plants for the Taiwanese company here in the flyover states in the United States so that we can just bring that tool. It is going to be a fascinating decade to 2 decades in the future. So that's what I want to focus on. That's what I encourage my clients to focus on. It's not about what happens now or in the next 2 years. It's about what are you going to do so that your family, your business, your financial legacy, your individual legacy is safeguarded for what the world could look like 10 to 20 years from now. The world could look like the United States is still the economic and military superpower. It could look like that. So you may not have to change much. But according to economists, by 2033, China will be the economic superpower.
And over the past 24 months of being a part of, wanting to know what's going on in the Philippines and educating myself to what's going on there, preparing for a potential move there in my senior years, as they say, I don't ever move anywhere without really educating myself about certain things. And there's been a lot of information about war in the area. Of course, there's war here too, but I guess you feel when you're in the United States, you're grounded, but you're not. It's not safe here either. Not as safe as we think it is. So there could be war in our mainland as well. But, as you prepare to go there, China, it is over there where China is in the Pacific, where the Philippines is in the South Pacific, where everything is over there, and China is bullying everyone. Every country they seem to be bullying. They're not bullying, so everybody's turning against them. And I'm just wondering about the United States' readiness and whether or not we should be bothered with getting involved over there. And it's people living there. How do you ignore all the noise about war around you? Is that something that you should be concerned about? Are you concerned as an expat living in the Philippines with Taiwan right there? Virginia worked in Taiwan when I met her. It's an OFW for at least a year. She was there when we first started kicking it again. So Taiwan is like right there. It's not like a long ways away. That's why there's so much bullying on in the Taiwan Strait with the fishing and all that with China. And I think China is trying to, as they, I think I read where they're really positioning as they're doing all this now, so they can kind of show everybody or either prove to themselves what they're trying to do, and just kind of making themselves known as a bully around the whole area. And where the hell all this is coming from, I don't know, because the history of it don't even prove it. And so are we ready if this goes down? Should we still be there? Should we be living there? Should we be going there? But I think they say the United States is ready. Roll the clip. That was just one of my shares here. Hold on, let me see what this is here. I got another video here, what the guy said. Let's see. He says, we're definitely ready, he says. I rolled a clip. Here's another share. Read the share what the guy says here. If y'all don't know, it is. If you don't know, you will know.
If China invades Taiwan, what will the U.S. Navy do?
It's a decision of the President of the United States and a decision of the Congress. The United States Navy will be deployed rapidly to the Western Pacific to come to the aid of Taiwan if the order comes to aid Taiwan in thwarting that invasion.
Is the U.S. Navy ready?
We're ready, yes. I'll never admit to being ready enough.
The only man.
Never ready. Never know if you're ready enough. I think the United States is keep this about the United States as far as being ready. Roll the clip.
China has not fought a war since 1979. They have an army that's not fought a war. The American military has a lot of experience fighting wars. I'm not saying this is a good thing. The United States is like a cocked pistol, right? Chinese military, they haven't fought a war in a long time, and they would have to launch an amphibious operation, which is one of the most difficult military operations possible.
Right.
On top of that, the Americans are going to defend Taiwan. Joe Biden has said this 4 separate times. We are going to defend Taiwan. The Chinese elites I've talked to over time, they know full well we are going to defend Taiwan. The Japanese are going to defend Taiwan with us. The Australians are going to defend Taiwan with us. So if the Chinese launch an amphibious operation to try to capture Taiwan, they're going to do that in the face of American, Japanese, and Australian resistance.
And the Koreans.
And the South Koreans in all likelihood will be there too. So I think that despite the fact
no one's playing around with this bullshit. This is not something that everybody's just thinking that ain't going to happen. People are prepared. The United States is definitely prepared about what's going on over there. And I'm assuming that China is. I'm assuming that China knows what they're doing, because they really are stirring up a lot of bullshit there, and the United States is ready.
The United States is coming to the Western Pacific, and this time they've been invited. The U.S. and the Philippines just announced that the United States will nearly double its military presence in the country as part of a new defense agreement, including gaining access to 4 domestic military bases. This means it'll have access to 9 bases around the Philippines, giving it a dramatic presence in the South China Sea. This is all part of a growing effort to send a message to China that they can't disregard territorial rights in the South China Sea, and U.S. ships in the water send that message pretty clearly. But it's also a larger sign of preparation that if China makes a move on Taiwan, the U.S. would be prepared. This adds the Philippines to a coalition including Japan, Australia, and the territory of Guam, where U.S. bases are ready to spring into action at a moment's notice to defend the region if China makes a move. But for now, the buildup continues, and the U.S. and China continue to rattle sabers at each other.
Lately, the United States has went as far as deploying Typhoon missiles there so that the Philippines can defend themselves. These missiles will go 300 miles, I think it will. I'm not sure how much money they spent. I think China's super pissed about these missiles. So the Philippines are preparing themselves for any bullshit that goes down. Taiwan, I think I read where the United States has spent $571 million to increase their military against what might go down. Their alliances with Japan, Australia, South Korea, Australia, excuse me, and even India, potentially, all waiting to see what China might do. But there's still a concern. We have family there, we have people there. We don't want Taiwan to be another Ukraine. We need to diffuse this bullshit before it gets to be a Ukraine. That's too damn close to family. Look at what the Filipino native says and his concern about that area and what's going on. Let's see, roll that clip.
This Filipino citizen gained attention by expressing alarming concerns about the current situation and the potential threat from China.
Spread this awareness, no? Share this video. Kasi puro TikTok na lang tayo eh.
He questions the possibility of heightened tensions if China doesn't gain control over the West Philippine Sea.
What if nagalit na yung mga taga-China talaga, lalo na yung ministro nila? Paano kung talagang last option na nila is pasabugin yung buong Pilipinas?
He expresses a deep fear of a catastrophic attack, believing that the Philippines would be defenseless.
Malalim yung tulog natin sa madaling araw. Sa tingin nyo, makakailag tayo sa mga bomba nila? Patay talaga ang buong Pilipinas. Matatalino mga taga-China, sinasabi ko sa inyo.
I know that whenever China confronted the Philippines in the Southeast Sea when they were having the fishing expedition or whatever there, and they rammed the boat or blocked him from whatever using the sea that rightly belongs to the Philippines. The Philippines attacked with, knives and swords and, the same thing they would do, domestically. And it was kind of not so much, but maybe the Philippines are a lot more ready than you probably think, because they do have the backing of the United States. And I believe the President Marcos is not going to put up with a whole bunch of bullshit from China, but at the same time, he really doesn't want to see a problem. And I agree with that. We should really diffuse this. We should put an end to it. Now, I don't believe, in my heart, I don't believe that China really wants to fight. And this guy here explains why he believes that China don't want to fight. Roll the clip.
China can't attack anybody outside of their borders. Get that out of your head. The last war they fought was in 1979 against Vietnam. The last combat they actually saw was 1988, the Johnson Reef skirmish, meaning their troops have no combat experience whatsoever. They have the same amount of experience with logistics. Example of logistics, the United States military can move 200,000 people across the world within a week without any other military being able to interfere. Then there's the fact that China doesn't make a habit of fighting anyone even near their weight class or above. And the last time they did was against India in 1967, where the Indians won. But what about that country right next to China that begins with a T? That island right here is 100 miles away from China. That part of the world is heavily guarded by the United States Navy and Air Force. But what if China launches an EMP attack that disables American military infrastructure there? Read this paragraph right here. China is highly dependent on the best semiconductors in the world. That island produces 92% of the world's most advanced semiconductors. Reports coming out that the semiconductor manufacturing plants all around the island would be completely destroyed at the beginning of an invasion from China. And where would those semiconductor manufacturers go? the United States. If something like that were to happen, that would set China decades behind the United States. But China's shipmaking is 232 times greater than the United States. That's like telling me their bow and arrow production is 500 times higher than the United States. China can absolutely produce a lot of ships. China has 2 aircraft carriers. One of them used to be a casino, and the second one is a copy of that ship that used to be a casino. And if such a deployment were to ever be launched, don't forget about satellites. Out of the 6,000 or so satellites orbiting around the world, 4,500 of them belong to the United States. Only 586 belong to China. The U.S. military has been showing India every time the Chinese soldiers were trying to make an incursion at their border, allowing India to respond in kind. That's also how the Philippines know about what China is doing on their territory as well. Japan has more than doubled their military spending. They are now the top 3 military spenders on Earth. So any country trying to seize another country's land in this area would be easily spotted and most likely interrupted by a coordinated effort. Last but not least, China's trading relationship with the entirety of their neighbors would be severely damaged, and that would harm the Chinese economy. 8% of their imports come from South Korea, 7.5% from Japan, 5.7% from Australia, and the United States, 7.2%. The level of sanctions China would face with an already struggling economy would completely collapse them. Which is why I don't think China wants war or to do anything that's really aggressive. I think they just want to do business and have their own sphere of influence in this part of the world. I'm the Geo Husar, and I am on my way to the gym in 5 minutes. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I played that. I played that because I believe that China really, at the end of the day, don't want to fight. And if they do, if they really do, it's some repercussions. It's some repercussions. And Joe Biden in the United States has made that clear. One more clip.
United States President Joe Biden issues a stern warning to China following its latest act of aggression in Philippine waters. In a joint press conference with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, Biden directly addressed Sunday's collision between Chinese and Philippine vessels off the West Philippine Sea. Biden reminds Beijing any armed attack on Manila will trigger its mutual defense treaty with Washington.
Just this past week, the PRC vessels acted dangerously and unlawfully as our Philippine friends conducted a routine resupply mission within their own exclusive economic zone in the South China Sea. I want to be clear. I want to be very clear. The United States defense commitment to the Philippines is ironclad. Any attack on the Filipino aircraft vessels or armed forces will invoke our mutual defense treaty with the Philippines.
The Mutual Defense Treaty states that the two countries will come to each other's defense in case their metropolitan areas or territories are attacked. China's foreign ministry responded immediately to Biden's remarks.
The U.S. is not party to the South China Sea issue. It has no right to get involved in a problem between China and the Philippines. The U.S. promise of defending the Philippines must not hurt China's sovereignty and maritime interests in the South China Sea, and it must also not enable and encourage the illegal claims of the Philippines.
In an interview with Teleradyo Servicio, Defense Secretary Gilberto Chodoro Jr. says the Philippines will do whatever it can to assert its sovereignty in the West Philippine Sea.
Hindi tayo naghahanap ng pagwawagi laban sa China. Pagwawagi para sa Pilipinas ang hinahanap natin. Ginagalang ito ng Estados Unidos, ng Japan, ng Australia, Canada, South Korea, New Zealand, France, at napakarami pang ibang mga bansa. Hindi ko na iisa-isahin. So bakit hindi tayo makikialyado sa kanila? Di ba? Isa lang naman ang pinaglalaban natin.
Meanwhile, the U.S. nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan conducted flight operations off the eastern section of Luzon on Wednesday to show presence in a region where tensions are ratcheting up. Beijing expressed its disapproval of the presence of the aircraft carrier in the South China Sea, calling the U.S. a troublemaker in the region. But the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines noted that the visit of the USS Ronald Reagan has been planned for months.
In response, I would just say that these visits are part of our alliance. They happen all the time at regular intervals, and we're very glad that we can have these kinds of visits because they really show the strength of our relationship.
Bianca Dava, ABS-CBN News, Philippine Sea.
Yeah. See, we're prepared. Hopefully, the United States is prepared for whatever may happen over there. Before I close this video, I want to give us something really, a little more lighter note, because next week I'm gonna get back to something a little easier. So let's just play this right here to make me feel better, and hopefully y'all do too as well. Here we go. Let's play it.
The only men that are having trouble.
Really not that, but that was a little clip of something here. You know, just a little something to brighten the day up a little bit. But I don't know what's really going to go on over there. I think I'm okay with going over there, but a little concerned about what might. I'd love to know what you guys think. You guys who are over there already, you guys that are considering going over there, let me know what you think about what's all been going on, all the noise about war right around your backyard. Maybe you think it's okay. Maybe you're ignoring it. Maybe it's okay. Maybe you think it's propaganda. I don't know, but we'll see, right? We'll see. So anyway, my next video, I'm gonna talk about this guy. I gotta talk about this guy, guys. This guy right here is all over the freaking news. I'm gonna bring him up right now. Yeah, my next video is gonna be about this cat right here. I'm gonna play this right here, just a little clip, because there's no way in the world I'm not gonna talk about this idiot. He is. Let me play this.
Filipino wife has been Americanized. My Americanized Filipino wife. That seems to be triggering a lot of people. Let me explain what I mean. In America, if a woman, if a wife, even a girlfriend, is not happy in the relationship, all she has to say to the world on social media, and especially to the government, I'm not happy. And if she drops the word abused or anything along those lines, the American system steps in. It steps in to protect her against any for any allegations that she makes. And the man's side of the story is, it's all assumed. I'm an evil, controlling, patriarchal, oppressive white dude. And the narrative quickly, instantly becomes me bad, she victim. So the fight that we're having, that's still there. Okay. That's always going to hang over my head. I'm a passport bro. I brought her here. I married her here. I signed all the government forms saying that I will support her for a minimum of 10 or 1,000 years. I don't know. I don't even know what I signed. And all you dudes out there who have been through this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Americanized means weaponization of the male-female relationship to benefit the female, because family court is not a judicial system. It's a corporation for profit, digging into the pockets of dads, of men, because we're in a patriarchal system and men still have most of the money. Now, that's exactly what's true in our relationship. She doesn't have any money. I have all the money.
I'm going to stop right there, because we're not going to get with so much of him, but I'm going to talk about his ass next week. No, this week. Probably within, when I do my next video on this clown here, because he is, number one, not a passport bro. He is a white guy that's looking to dominate, take advantage of, and talk shit and treat women bad. And he is everything you shouldn't be if you go to the Philippines to meet a woman and let her become your wife. He's horrible, and you shouldn't be like him. But at any rate, guys, y'all let me know in the comments what you think about what's going on in the region in terms of China and their transgressions and the bullshit that they putting down. And I'll see you on my next video about this clown here. I'll let you later. Peace out. And we'll see you next week. Peace out. Take care. Let's get it. Let's get it. Take care.